One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS over. Setting up the flag now. Now you can see the stars and stripes.
Welcome back to TKW Draft Season, brought to you by the Knicks One Podcast. I am Jess, joined as always by Nick. Nick, how are you?
I am wonderful. Today is our mock draft night, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yep, so we're going to do a mock draft, which we don't usually do. I mean, TKW usually does, but it's usually like a group of writers. I've been on the sideline of participating in the mock drafts, just been hanging around usually. So this is going to be interesting. I'm not confident in my GM abilities, but we will see. Especially with the teams I have. I'm guessing there's going to be trades on draft night, but just like I don't even know what those will look like, so we'll see what happens. But I think we and if I'm wrong, let me know, Nick, but like for me, I kind of wanted to look at this as like, what do I hope happens, not what I think is going to happen, like going more off of my quote unquote like big board and just like the dudes that I like and the dudes that I want to see do well go to good teams, I think. So that's kind of how like I'm just trying to look at it a little bit differently. I'm not trying to be correct when compared to draft night. Just more of like a what if scenario.
Yeah, the way I see it, and I'll think a little bit about the reports and what we're hearing on teams, but also we don't know anything. We are not well connected to NBA GMs like the quote unquote experts are. I'm not going to be able to tell you who the Charlotte Hornets are leaning at 11, but I can tell you who I think would be the best fit for them. And that's the way I'm looking at it. It's what would we do if we're in that front office? What do we want to see?
And I did try to think a little bit about like team need. So at the very least, to where it at least makes sense a little bit, but I may have some different guys fit into what I think the needs are, different from like what a quote unquote draft expert would have. So I took a train out to Albany tonight, and Nick did the division of I want to say like division of the assets from that one scene in Legally Blonde, but he told me what teams I'm picking for. So
we split it almost down the middle. I think Jess may have a few more teams than me.
I definitely have more picks than you. Well, maybe I don't know. It feels like I have more picks than you, but that's just because of
you have a couple teams that pick multiple times.
Yeah.
I went one by one and split it, but I did want to give us teams. So, for example, Jess is drafting for Houston at 2, which means she's getting all of Houston's picks because we are going to be talking about trades. And again, trades we would like to see. And therefore, I want to give her full control for Houston if she wants to trade any of those picks.
Which, like, I feel like purely about a numbers game, like they have to, but I don't know what that looks like, but we'll see. We'll see if Nick wants to come in hot with some offers here. But you didn't give me Detroit, Nick, but I guess that's because then you wouldn't have your boy. So either way we were losing. We were losing.
I did a random choice for the first pick, and I did get it. But you are right. I'm higher on Cade. You're higher on the Pistons. Either way, this is a match made in heaven for draft season.
It's true. So kick us off here.
All right. Let's do it. I'm going to be on my soapbox for a bit for a quick soapbox rant before I make this pick.
A short soapbox.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the term is for that. And that is this narrative around the number one pick. And I am not saying that Detroit should not listen to offers. I am not saying that Detroit should not accept an offer if somebody's going to offer, let's say Oklahoma City is going to offer a Godfather package that's 6 and another 4 picks in the first round. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't listen, see what's out there, do their due diligence, go meet with Jalen Green, go meet with Evan Mobley. But there's been this pushback that, well, maybe we were wrong because it was Cade, right? It was Cade for so long that we just stopped looking at other guys. And certain draft experts have really been pushing hard against that, or this idea that Cade doesn't necessarily have the highest ceiling, that Cade is a subpar athlete and therefore cannot make it in the NBA as like an elite player. There's been questions on his vision and his creation, which are just mind-boggling to me, because to me, his vision and his creation are his greatest assets. And with all that being said, is to be contrarian and say you don't like Cade or Cade is not a great prospect, that does not make you smart and it does not make you cool. It's not, it'll get people talking. Sure, I'm talking about it right now for a very specific reason. But people think Cade Cunningham is the best prospect because Cade Cunningham is the best prospect. And that's not to take anything away from these other guys at the top of the class. This is an elite draft class at the top. And I think there are 4 players that would be easily have been the number 1 pick in last year's class. And you can make a case that, Mobley for sure would be the number 1 pick in, 80, 90% of drafts. Green and Suggs would be in the conversation too. This is not a knock on them. It is just purely that Cade Cunningham is that good of a prospect. I've seen, the one negative comp that I referred to on that podcast was OJ Mayo, which is just get out of here. The other comps that some good, some bad, there's always been Ben Simmons out there. Chris Middleton has become a really popular comparison based off of specifically, the playoff run. And then I've seen Tatum out there as well. And I think Middleton and Tatum, well, obviously both great players in their own right. I don't think either of them have the creation ability or the playmaking of Cade Cunningham. And if he gets to that, if that's the ceiling, which is Jason Tatum, who's one of the best scorers in the NBA, with much better passing, like, again, that's an all-NBA guy. The pick for the Pistons is Cade Cunningham, and it was always going to be Cade Cunningham since the night they won the lottery. And while, of course, they should do their due diligence, there's no reason for them to do anything but take a guy that very well, that should be the franchise player, is a franchise-changing type of prospect, and very well could be one of the best players in the NBA in a very short time.
Rant over. Nailed it. Okay. I'm going to keep it moving. I have Houston. While I would like to think it's very well known to the listeners of draft season that Jalen Suggs is my number 2 boy. I think it's gonna be Jalen Green, and so I think I gotta go Jalen Green. I've watched more and more of him. I think I was a little lower on him at first, just because I think partly it was because people were trying really hard in the beginning of the season to push that, he could be kind of what you're talking about, like, he could be number 1 over Cade. Like, don't go too quick. And I think I held that against Jalen Green, which was unfair of me to do. I mean, Houston, with all the picks they have, and there's just like so many weird pieces right now. I think they're just going to keep going best player available. And I think it's Jalen Green from Team Ignite.
Yeah, personally, I prefer Mobley to Green, and I would like Mobley for Houston, but I do think they'll go Green, and I like it. I think a Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. Young core is really, really interesting. I've been watching some G League Ignite just to try to because I was kind of similar to you with Green, is like I didn't see him on the same tier as Cade. I've been watching some G League Ignite film to try to better that. And my big takeaway is that like Jalen Green just really pops. He's very apparent. You see him on the court. He's just that kind of player that just has your attention. Conversely, a guy we're going to talk about at some point in this mock on G League Ignite disappears. And that's been my takeaway from watching from that. But we'll move on. Do you have anything else to add for Houston?
No, let's keep it going.
So Cleveland, I gave a lot of consideration to at 3, not with draft picks, because I think if Green goes 2, like I think there's really only one pick for Cleveland. However, there are options that they have outside of that, right? Do you trade Sexton? Do you trade Garland? Do you try to move up to 1? Do you try to move down? Do you try to trade Sexton for another lottery pick? There's a lot of options for them. However, I don't think moving 3 is there, assuming they don't want to. If Detroit doesn't have interest in whatever Cleveland could offer for 1, I think the answer is clear. Stay home, stay at 3. You have the weird guard situation. You have Isaac Okoro. You want to figure things out with the guards, do it. You take Evan Mobley. You have a defensive anchor that is going to be the cornerstone of what you're building there in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, even though they, took Okoro and got Jarrett Allen, they were 25th, I think, in defensive rating. So obviously they still need to work on that. But
and that's like the opposite of the Jalen Green, KPJ core that like is just going to put on exciting games from day one with like scoring bursts. Okoro and Evan Mobley are just going to have massive defensive impacts for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with Cleveland, though, still then is offense. But
I agree. I just don't know what you do. If I were to consider Suggs at this pick, and I do, I'm similarly high to Suggs as you. I love Suggs. I just don't know what you do if you take a guard, because you cannot take Suggs or Green without moving Sexton or Garland. You can't do it.
Yeah. All right. So I have the Raptors. Basically, I think the Raptors need their go-to option, right? They need someone to pair with the already like good players that they have, and it's my boy Jalen Suggs. It's funny, like I feel like I'm still like half jokingly bitter towards the Raptors because of Malk not returning there, but I'm just like, oh, I don't want them to be good, but like the Raptors are fun. The Raptors are a good organization, and putting Jalen Suggs there like only helps that. And I think he could, going to an organization like that, like be that cornerstone player that I really think he can be within the next like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I love this. I hope this happens. Suggs is, to me, besides Cade, he is the one of these top 4 that is going to be instant impact. Like I think he's going to be ready. And whether you lose Lowry and he comes in as a Lowry replacement, or he comes in as like a Lowry protege, I think he's a perfect fit in that Lowry type role. I think he's an absolutely perfect fit with the young core they already have. That is very two-way with a lot of guys that can get out and push, which is where Jalen Suggs really benefits. And I would love to see that. I would love to see Nick Nurse. I think he seems like such a guy that Nick Nurse would absolutely love. Again, the defensive instincts are so good. Like, he's going to be able to do that in a way that would just fit perfectly with the guys they already have that are great defensive players, OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam in particular. I would love that. I do think it's really interesting, the reports out there that they're very interested in Scotty Barnes, who is more of that OG Anunoby type mold. And I think that's very interesting but I do really hope it's Suggs here.
I still don't know what I think about Barnes. We'll get to it eventually here. Yeah, I don't know. Suggs just like feels like a Raptors player, and we can pull the one shining pod, like, Suggs is from it's Minnesota, right? It's like 2 hours from Toronto. Like I think that's right. I don't know. I feel like it just fits for some reason. You have the Magic at 5, and if you don't, I sent you a picture of my first 5 or 6. It was 6 when I was on the train, and I don't know if you're gonna do what I did, and if you don't, I need to talk about what I wanted to do here. But go for it.
Yeah, this is like the first place where I'm not locked in, right? And there's places after this that I'm much more comfortable with, regardless of who's on the board. I have no idea what the Magic should do. Part of me thinks the Magic should try to trade out of one of. They have these 2 picks, but I don't know what they're trading for. They're not obviously trading for a guy to compete now. I considered a couple guys at this pick, including who you had, which was James Bouknight.
Mm-hmm.
Who I went with was, there's really 2 considerations for me, but it's who I just talked about for Toronto. And I like the pick. I don't love this player. He feels very Magician.
Very what?
Magician.
Okay.
He's long and he's got a questionable jump shot.
Yeah.
And that fits a lot of Magic prospects, draft picks over the last couple of years. I really like the pieces that the Magic have. I'm a big fan of Cole Anthony. I like Markelle Fultz. I really like the trade getting RJ Hampton back last year. John Isaac, as problematic as he may be, should hopefully be healthy this year. And I'm a huge fan of what John Isaac brings defensively. They have a lot of something, and I don't really know if they have anything, which is why I did really consider a high upside guy like Kuminga.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they probably can't risk a guy that they don't think is a surefire thing. And I think Kuminga is just too much of a risk. So I go Scotty Barnes, hoping that he puts the jump shot together, which again, I don't think he will, but feels right for the Orlando Magic.
Okay. So I feel that now I know they have Cole. I know they have Markelle, but I still feel like they need a primary guy to fit around all those guys you mentioned. RJ Hampton, Jonathan Isaac, even Chuma Okeke, and Wendell Carter. And that's where Bouknight came into play for me. I really like him. I watched a good amount of UConn this year because of Andre Jackson. And unfortunately, Bouknight was out a bit. And I really think that is what has like hurt his stock at first. But now, like, you read on Twitter and stuff, he just seems to be shooting up boards. So I just really like the idea of Bouknight there. But I think Scotty Barnes is logical. He's been up around that area the whole time. I think he's almost like feeding off of who went last year from Florida State?
Pat Williams.
Like, I feel like he's just like feeding off Pat Williams' success, if that makes sense. Like, people see, they're both just like classic Leonard Hamilton, Florida State guys, long, athletic, all those things. But I think it makes sense. So now the question is, because I wanted Bouknight for the Magic, I have OKC next. Do I take Bouknight there?
And there's a lot of smoke for Bouknight to the Thunder.
Yeah, but I don't think I do, because I'm on team keep OKC weird. What city is that actually? Is that Austin?
Austin.
Yeah. keep
up
but
with.
keep OKC international. That's what we're doing here. The only bigs that they have are Poku and Roby. So, with all of that being said, I'm going Alperen Şengün. Let's keep OKC weird.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Şengün with Ignacio, and I talked about him again with Ben Pfeiffer. I don't know where I stand. I've gone up and down all over the place. Şengün, Poku, front court is just my favorite thing. Let's do it.
Let's just get weird. Okay. I have Golden State now. This is tough. This is tough because I just I think so. Let's talk about what I think Golden State needs. I think the reason that Jordan Poole helped a lot this year when he got there was his kind of like slashing ability and ability to get to the rim. And I think they still need some of that. I think they still need, I mean, obviously they have two of the greatest shooters all time, but Clay's still coming off an injury. I think they could use some more. Would I love Josh Giddey to go to the Golden State Warriors? I absolutely would. But is that what I think I gotta go book night here. I think that's what makes the most sense for Golden State.
I really like that. I know there's a lot of Davion Mitchell talk for that, and I like Mitchell. I don't necessarily love that at 7. I think there is this idea that they need instant contributor guys, and I don't know how many rookies you're going to get true impact from regardless. I think long term, I think Book Night is a really solid fit there.
Dope. You're back with the Magic now.
Back with the Magic. We just took Scotty Barnes. We have a weird team with a lot of guys that could put it together. And I think there's a lot of things they could do. But I'm so torn right now. I had a couple guys. I would have loved to go big. I know what I'm doing. To me, the guys you mentioned for the Magic, they have a lot of high upside guys. They have guys that can put it together, guys that were drafted with ceilings, guys that were drafted for length. They have a ton of athletes, and they have almost negative shooting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of guys. They've been drafting theoretical shooters for a decade now, right?
Yeah.
Mo Bamba and sorts. And I think it's time they draft a real shooter. And if they don't trade down, and again, I probably would if you have any offers. I should have probably prefaced with that. I would like to trade down. Considering if they don't trade down, just take Corey Kispert. It's a little high. It's a little high for Kispert, and again, that's why you trade down if you can to 11 or 12. But Corey Kispert's the best shooter in this class. The Magic need shooters. Let's do it. Don't overcomplicate things.
Okay. Let's do it. We're going Kispert. Interesting. Did not see that coming. So I have Sacramento at 9. And simply put, Sacramento needs defense. And looking at various boards I've seen, various mocks I've seen, there were a couple guys that came to mind. I think this is too high for Kai Jones. And if they took him, that would mean they're definitely moving away from Bagley. Thought about Moses Moody here, but I think I'm going to go Franz Wagner. I think his defense is there. I think the offense could potentially get there. He's got great size. I think it makes sense for Sacramento.
I think that's a really common pick, and I think it's really logical. I personally, I don't hate Franz. I don't love Franz. I think he's going to be I think he's solid. And I
wish he was a little bit better in the tournament, but
agreed.
It happens.
But I just think the Kings need solid rotation guys right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you think they're set on it's Fox and Halliburton, yeah, let's go get a role player. The Mikal Bridges comp I've seen for Franz, I don't love. I don't think he has as high ceiling as Mikal, but I do think that model that the Suns have built, which is we have our guy, so now let's go draft for specific roles. I think it makes sense. I like Franz Wagner there.
Cool. You're up with the Pelicans at 10.
Yeah, so I would like to trade this pick. Do you have any teams interested?
Let's see. So my next few picks are Charlotte at 11, Warriors at 14. Or I have, and then my next two are both OKC. Who would want someone? Maybe the Warriors move up here. Maybe
Warriors moving up would be interesting.
Or I don't know. Do you have anything in mind?
I'll offer it to OKC for 16 and 18.
16 and 18 for 10. Who would OKC want? I don't know. OKC's so weird. You know what? Okay, let's do it, and we're gonna keep OKC weird. So 16 and 18. So now it's OKC's at 10. I'm just writing this down and then you've got that was with the Pelicans, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm on the clock at 10 now.
Yes.
I'm gonna go Kuminga.
And that's why I think OKC would make this trade.
Yeah.
They are the team that I think would be most mutually beneficial for Kuminga, who's a guy that I don't want to – he's young. He played in the G League against adults. I'm not ruling him out. I don't want to be the guy that says, it's a bad pick and then he's got this crazy high ceiling and he gets there. A team like OKC that's going to focus on development, they're not going to care about winning right now. They're going to give him opportunity. I think that's the best case for him. And if they don't take him at 6, I could see them making a move like this. If, we know Sam Presti wants to get his guy. He made the move last year to get up to take Poku. I could see it happening for a good guy like Kuminga.
Cool. So I'm on the clock with Charlotte. And Cody Zeller and Bismack Biyombo are both free agents. So do they try to fill that if they don't bring them back? Do they try to fill, or they don't want to? Do they try to fill that in the draft? I mean, I'm a big believer that you can just you can go out in free agency and find the big that you need, or, on the trade market, whatever it is. I would like to get some shooting around Melo. So I think I'm going to go Moses Moody here.
Interesting.
I had Kai Jones up there to fill that big role, but
Yeah, Kai Jones is who I think I would like to see them, because I just think that if Kai Jones gets to what the idea of Kai Jones is, he's so much fun with LaMelo. I don't mind taking someone who, again, is more of I love Moody. I think Moody's going to be really, really good, and I think that's a really solid pick.
Cool. So you got Spurs at 12. DeMar DeRozan coming a free agent. Does Pop go into a more because I feel like after having DeMar DeRozan and having a couple of their other guys, like they've been very mid-range centric. Do you think Pop starts changing to like more of a modern game? Maybe tries to go get some more shooting.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting kind of narrative. I don't think it's against shooting. Pop was on the earlier trend of high volume 3-point shooting. I just think because of the roster construction, specifically because of DeMar DeRozan, who's one of the worst volume 3-point shooters in NBA history, it's just not there. Now, if they get some shooting, that I do think they would make that transition. We saw Vassell last year. I love the Spurs core. Now we might see a DeJounte Murray or Derek White trade. They have a lot of good young guys. I really like Lonnie Walker still. I like Devin Vassell. I like Keldon Johnson. I like White, Murray. I mean, there's a lot of good pieces there. They're just missing the guy, right? They have a lot of guys that are in that next range. I would have probably liked Sengun here. That would have been a nice potential big, because they don't have that young big piece. With him gone, I think you take a shot at a guy that can be the sort of playmaker, creator guy they need, and that is your boy Josh Giddey.
Ooh, interesting.
This is another sort of best case scenario to me, because the Spurs are another franchise that we know just has a good organization in it. The development is there. You have Chip England, the shooting coach, will help. Like, those sort of things are going to help maximize a prospect like Giddey, who I do think has a really high ceiling. So, Josh Giddey.
Cool. I dig it. You are back on the clock with the Pacers.
So both of these two picks are, if you've spent any time or countless hours like I have on the Knicks Wall 3.0 offseason app, which is just a wonderful time, and I highly recommend it. These are the two teams that offer that trade to the Knicks to trade down to 19 and 21, or to trade up to get to 12, 13. I considered that. I don't love that for the Knicks. I think there's a lot of guys that the Knicks can get later, and we'll talk about that. For the Pacers, they're in a little bit of disarray. They could blow it up. We don't know what's going to happen with Domas. We don't know what's going to happen with Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon. They don't really have – they're still good enough. They'll compete. They'll be a playoff contender. Don't know where you're looking at in the future if you're the Pacers. I think you take a guy who has fallen a little bit in this draft class, and that is a high upside guy, and that is Keon Johnson.
Okay, interesting. He's definitely dropped. Definitely dropped. Pacers are weird, man. There's just so many moving parts to them right now.
Yeah, and that's why, like, they're one of the teams that when we did this, alignment of who's drafting, I immediately was like, is there a big splashing move that I can make? Can I go trade, a couple of these role player pieces for Ben Simmons? Can I go trade Malcolm Brogdon to a team that will use Malcolm Brogdon? And ultimately, I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know what it's going to look like by the end of free agency or by the end of the offseason. But a guy like Keon Johnson, take a shot.
Cool. So I think I'm up again with the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I've already picked Book Night. And this is someone that I don't think he's I don't know. He's someone you brought up earlier that has been tied to the Warriors, but I think more so at 7 and not at 14. And I think he's higher than this on a lot of people's boards. So I think I got to go Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, I said it earlier. I like Davion Mitchell. I don't know if I love the value at 7. If they get him at 14, I think that's great value.
Yeah. I mean, he only averaged like 14 points a game, but shot 45% from 3 on, I think this is for his career. Yeah, must be. Oh no. So it was 31% over his first 2 seasons to 45% as a junior. He does like finishing around the rim too, which, as I pointed out earlier, like I think the Warriors can really use some of that. He all year has been touted as like a great defender. So I think it works for the Warriors here. You are next with our Wiz. Who you giving Denny?
Love the Wiz. I was pretty stumped at this pick. This was one of the ones I struggled with the most because they're a team, they're kind of in a sort of purgatory. You have Beal and Westbrook for now, right? That could change very quickly. We saw today there's some reports about the Warriors pursuing Beal. Yesterday there were the Lakers pursuing Russ. If you make either of those trades, then you're completely blowing it up and building towards the future, which is not a bad thing if you can collect some assets back because you do have some pieces to build around. You have Denny. You have Rui. Guys I really like. And what do you kind of need? This is another place I would like Sengun potentially as that sort of like big for the future. But what I am going with is just a bucket, a guy that can score the basketball, because that's always helpful. And Rui and Denny, for all their strengths, they're not the pure scorer type.
Yep.
But Cam Thomas is.
Okay.
And that's my pick.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And again, a little higher than I have him on my board. But I think he's going to go and score from day one next year.
Okay.
So if you're the Wiz, if you blow it up and you make trades, then he's there as a long-term scoring option. If you want to compete for the playoffs, he can give you some good minutes off the bench.
Hey, I'm pretty sure KOC has him in like his top 10 of his big board. So he's been everywhere. I think Vicini has him at like 27. It's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. Okay. Because of trades, you have the next 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. First, New Orleans at 16.
All right. Well, let's get wild then. I have 4 picks in a row. And I have the New Orleans Pelicans.
I'm curious if you're thinking about like because of who you want the Knicks to have.
I'm trying I'm trying really hard to not let my biases for what I want happen. You know the two players I love, and if I think there's a team that fits, I considered them elsewhere. But ultimately, when I look at the Pelicans, I would like to make another trade. I don't have it. I don't know what it is, but they want to compete now. They want to put a team around Zion that can compete. I think they need shooting. That team had some negative space last year. And I am going to take your other boy, Trey Murphy.
Dang. I really want him on the Grizzly ever since I saw that. And also, as you were talking about the Wiz, I was like, ooh, wait a second. But no, love him here. Love him here. Someone who has really just rocketed up big boards.
Yeah.
And I think people hate watching Virginia for, kind of good reason. Their games can be so boring to watch. But 43% from three, 93% from the free throw line. He's got really good size, 6'7". He needs to work off the dribble, I think, but pure shooter. Okay. Are the Grizz gonna keep being draft Twitter darlings? Which I don't even know what that would mean at 17, but let's see.
It might be Trey Murphy. The draft Twitter darlings would be like, my guys Springer and Sharif. I really like the idea of Springer here, but also, do the Grizzlies need another non-shooter? Like,
I feel like Bones has become like a draft like a Twitter darling.
I do love Twitter. Right? Twitter does love Bones. I also love Bones, and I love Twitter. What I am gonna do here is take a guy that I think is a little divisive, and depending on how much you follow, specifically what you prioritize in regards to non-college, pre-college evaluations data, right? How much you prioritize that stuff. This is a guy that has a lot of variance, and that's Zaire Williams.
Interesting. Okay. He feels like a Grizzly. I don't know why. I don't know how, but he does.
He feels like a Grizzly to me too, and he feels like a guy that the good version of Zaire Williams is like right there. It's exactly what they need.
Okay. What's next? Back with the Pelicans. You just selected Trey Murphy for them.
I just selected Trey Murphy. And now I would like to take a guy that is significantly older than Zion. And that is Chris Duarte.
Interesting.
The oldest player that will get selected. And they want guys that are going to be able to contribute. They want guys that can shoot. Chris Duarte is very clearly both.
A Trey Murphy Duarte draft is beautiful in my eyes. Especially when they're going to play with Zion. That's pretty good. Pretty good on you. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Knicks at 19. I wonder who this could possibly be.
I would like to not take Sharif Cooper here and try to surprise people. And there are a lot of guys. And this is why, ultimately, I don't want the Knicks to trade. Because whether this exact draft happens or not, there's like 5 guys on my board right now that I would just be thrilled if the Knicks take, and that's if a guy like Duarte's off the board. That's if a guy like Trey Murphy's off the board. Like, those aren't other good Knicks draft picks. There's a lot of guys in this range that I love. There's some guys that I don't love, and I hope the Knicks don't take them, but ultimately, Sharif Cooper is absolutely number one, and let's do it. And we don't need to talk much about Sharif. I feel like I've talked about him on every podcast we've done on draft season. For me, just the best creator playmaker in this class. Let's do it. The Knicks have been looking for a point guard for decades.
Okay. It's finally my turn, and I feel like I'm not ready, but that's all right. So I think I'm with the Hawks at 20. I think they need a backup for Trey. Would you agree? He's nodding his head yes for those listening.
Yes, sorry. Audio only format. Yes, they need a backup.
So since you just picked Sharif and you already picked Keon on me, I'm gonna go Deuce.
Wow. Okay, that's
go.
not. I love Deuce McBride. I was ready to make a argument at some point when I drafted him early that, like, is there that much a difference between Deuce McBride and Davion Mitchell? I love it. It's not who I expect you to take, but I would love that. What could be a better backup for Trey / potential backcourt partner for Trey than somebody that can lock down primary guards, which we know Trey's never going to be able to do, as well as somebody who can shoot, catch and shoot. And absolutely. Wow. Yeah. I hope that happens. I love that.
Back with the Knicks.
Yeah. So there's another guy that I absolutely love, and he's number 10 on my big board. Like, I think Jaden Springer is just, I think when you're looking at individual attributes of this class, like, Jaden Springer's strength for his size is just otherworldly. And I absolutely love him. I think he has like Drew Holiday level potential. And I don't think I'm going to take him here for the Knicks. We just took Sharif, who again I love, and Sharif is pretty much ideally what the good version of Sharif is exactly what the Knicks need. He can penetrate and put pressure on the rim and just absolutely make plays. However, the Knicks need shooting. So I love Springer. I love Garuba. I consider Garuba here heavily. But I think the Knicks need shooters. There's a couple guys off the board that I would have liked. Again, Duarte, Trey Murphy are both guys I would consider here. But I am going to go with Jared Butler.
Okay.
Jared Butler, who was recently approved health-wise, which I'm very happy for him. Jared Butler is another one of these guys that I think, he's in the same family as Davion Mitchell, other than just the Baylor family. I think that guy that's just going to be able to contribute. And I think he's a nice kind of antithesis of what you're getting from Sharif Cooper.
It's never a bad thing to add a national champ either. I dig it. You are back on the clock with the Lakers. What do the Lakers need to do?
Hire someone to facilitate the feud between Dennis Schroeder and Kyle Kuzma.
Sure. Yeah. All right. And other than that?
Other than that, I don't know what you need. I know who I'm taking. I don't know what they need. They need a lot, but they don't really need anything. They're another team that may not draft. They are going to compete for a title. If they make one of these splash trades, sign and trades for Chris Paul, sign and trade for Lowry. Who knows if they have to include this pick. I would say more likely than not, you don't see the Lakers pick. If they do, especially assuming they lose Schroeder this year, either in free agency or again in a sign and trade, guard creation, someone that can score besides LeBron, someone that can score on LeBron's off the court. And great, and I'm going Trey Mann.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I'm on the clock. And I'm on the clock twice with Houston. And again, I just like, what does Houston need? Are they really going to take 2 back-to-back picks? I feel like if they're like trading these, like it's like going to be like for future stuff, and I don't have the capacity to figure out what that might be. I'm thinking I want to go big here with one of these two. I have 2 in mind, and I think I might just take both of them and hope one or both pan out. That's Garuba and that's Kai Jones.
Interesting. Okay. I love Garuba. I was going to take him for the Clippers. So a little disappointed by that. I really thought you were going to say Jalen Johnson, who's, I know, a guy that neither of us are that high on. But that's the kind of guy, whether it's Jalen Johnson, whether it's Kai Jones, I think that's who if the Rockets draft these 2 picks, you take the high upside. You take at least one of those, like that's a shot at a star, and you hope it pans out. Again, I love Garuba. I think Garuba would be a great fit there.
Cool.
He's much higher on my board than that. Again, really good value.
Yeah. All right, Clippers 25.
Yeah, so I was getting ready to make my case for Garuba for the Clippers because we saw that you can't really play Zubats and you can't go small, and there's some issues there. And then you went and took them from me.
Sorry.
I know there's a lot of like take a guard type of projection. I've seen guys like, Jared Butler, guys like Deuce McBride, who are both off the board for us. What I am doing is I am going to take a big and hope that he can, give him some time, and hopefully he can be a really solid role man and be probably a little more of a plus than you get from Zubats, and that is Isaiah Jackson.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Ooh, okay. We are getting down to the nitty gritty here. So I have Denver at 26. I don't know what the timeline is on Jamal Murray, but even when he is back, I think they still need some more backcourt playmaking. Maybe some shot creation action. Who do I want to take here? Couple of guys I've seen on other boards are already taken. That's Butler and Cam Thomas. I could go Bones here. I could go Joshua Primo, I think has slowly been creeping up, but I don't like that.
Yeah, I have a question. Is Jaden Springer off the board?
Oh, I guess not. Is that who Denver needs? Backcourt playmaking. Thanks, you just made my pick for me.
And that's just because like that's just what I want. I had to push.
Yeah.
I had to nudge. I think that's a great fit. And again, an organization that we have seen time and time again can maximize the most out of guys that they get in later, mid first, second type players. Outside of even, obviously the ones like Jokic and Michael Porter Jr., your Monte Morrises and those sort of picks. And I'm really high on Jaden Springer. That's a great fit because even with Murray, that gives you kind of the potential defensive upside that you're not going to get from Murray. He is so strong that again I see a little of that Drew Holiday type defense there.
Yeah, I dig it. I just I didn't realize because I had him like way like when I was picking for Golden State, like had him listed with Mitchell. So I didn't even I figured, especially drafting with you, I think I figured he would be off the board by then.
Yeah, he's top 10 on my board. So if I'm purely going off that, like I could have gotten him early. He just kind of slipped. I was trying to draft smart for some fit, and he just fell.
Mm-hmm. So you got Brooklyn now at 27.
Yeah. I don't really know what they need.
Other than Kevin Durant's foot to be a few inches behind the line.
Yeah, I guess that's what you need, a shorter foot for Durant. I mean, I looked at taking a shooter here, right? That you always need shooters. A team like that is going to maximize shooters just because you're going to get so many opportunities. But ultimately, they have shooters, they have offense. So I'm going to take somebody that projects offensively and more realistically, like you're looking at as a defender based off of the tools, and that's JT Thor.
Okay. You got Thor on the Mets and you got Thor in Brooklyn. It works. It works. Interesting. Ugh. What's Philly gonna do? Just in general, not even the draft. Is Ben there? Is Ben gone? I don't know. I think regardless, they need a lead guard.
Yeah, I think you need a lead guard. You need some sort of creation ability. You need somebody that can score and create for themselves, the self-creation. I know who I would take if I were you, but there's a couple options here for them, I think.
If I hadn't taken Deuce so early, I'd take him here, but he probably would be off by now. Let's go Bones.
That's who I would be taking. That's who I'm happy you took.
I think if AO goes higher than the second round, he could go here as well, maybe.
Yeah, that's another player I was considering there. I know who I'm taking for Phoenix. I debated. Okay. I was looking over my board. It's somebody that, again, I'm very low on, I think, compared to the consensus, and I believe you are as well. But what do the Suns need now? There's a lot of guards that we went pretty guard heavy in this range. And there's a lot of really interesting guard prospects, right? We went Bones Highland, we went Deuce McBride, we went Jared Butler, Sharif, Springer, Trey Mann. All these guys have went off the board in this 20 to 30 range. And the Suns obviously need that. They need to replace Chris Paul going forward. Campaign's not the answer, even though campaign is always the answer. Of the guys left, I don't love any of these guards for them. What I think the Suns kind of struggled with was, while they have some really good big wings, you have the Cam Johnson, they had Jay Crowder, McCall, the loss of Dario Saric really hurt them in the playoffs or in the finals, and just not having a big wing that could be that stretch four type. I think hurt. The ability to go small, and I'm going to take a guy I don't love, but has a high ceiling. This is a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if he goes lottery, and has really fallen for our board, and that is Jalen Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I mean, just neither of us are very high on him. We could be completely wrong, but I don't know. I feel like I didn't see enough, like he didn't show me enough to like really be convinced.
Because he wasn't very impressive in his games, and he didn't play very many.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a big deal about the leaving thing. We don't know enough about that.
Right.
It wasn't the best look. I mean, there's some real concerns, but the upside's there for a big playmaking wing. You know, I see why people buy into it. You know, the rebounding should be solid. Like, I think he would help. I don't have much to say besides that.
Yeah, that's all I got. Okay. So the Jazz. I think they man. I think they need some defense. You know, they have Gobert anchoring them, but I think they could use some defense on the wing. I've seen Herb Jones go here. This might be too high for. Is this too high? I was thinking. Man, who am I going to take here? I was thinking Quentin Grimes, but this might be too high for him.
I don't think it is. I mean, I think he's in that. I see him a lot mocked in like 31, 32.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go him. I think I'm going to go Quentin Grimes. Herb Jones was SEC Defensive Player of the Year, but I'm just not sold on him. If he had helped Moody a little bit more, maybe, but yeah, I'm going Grimes.
I like that. I believe in Quentin Grimes, like a really solid player.
I just really like his story too, like transferring out and like just like making it a solid opportunity for himself. I don't know. I just really like him, I think, as a dude. Thus concludes our round one mock draft.
Before we wrap, as much as I would love to do the whole second round, I'm not going to ask that of you. I will say, based off the guys that we have off the board,
yeah,
who do we like for the Knicks at 32?
My Lithuanian lefty.
Lithuanian lefty is there. That's something that we've talked about for a potential stash. If you keep all three picks, you take Jokubaitis. Don't hate that. This is where, again, I would have potentially liked Rocco, but he is with John, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. Let's see. So you picked Sharif and you picked Jared Butler. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You go Weiskamp?
Wieskamp. Yeah, I mean, I was even thinking him for that late pick because I haven't even. Some places I don't even see him drafted, which is bizarre to me.
Vecini has him at 35. And Vecini
But
has the Knicks taking Austin Reeves at 32.
But who does he have? Oh, he has the Pelicans taking Joe, which I think would be great for the Pelicans.
Agreed. I would like that for the Knicks at 32. If he's there, 58 better. This is where it's probably too high for Vrenz. I would love Vrenz here just to take the flyer. To shout out Mike Cortez and also all of the other, Kentucky Knicks things. This could be, do you take a shot on BJ Boston?
Yeah. I mean,
or if you, let's say you go with the draft I did, which is take two guards, which is probably not what they'll do, but I like guards to come in. Do you then take your big? Do you take Day'Ron Sharpe? JRE potentially.
JRE. I like JRE.
JRE would be really interesting here. I think that's a pick I would like. Josh Christopher still off the board. Or still on the board. Probably not with the draft I took. I know a lot of people believe in the Josh Christopher upside.
I do love that Vecini has Vrenz going to Detroit. We talked about this before the pod. That's just beautiful. He also has Garza going at 58 to Knicks, which again, that's another thing that I'd be shocked if they don't unload that pick or something, but would be cool.
Yeah, and again, there's some stash guys we didn't talk about that I would expect at 58 if you drafted the other three.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I kind of hope it's just mass chaos on draft night, just with the amount of teams that have multiple picks in the first round or just across both rounds, like Houston, like the Knicks, give me chaos always.
4 teams with multiple picks, right? And valuable multiple picks. The Thunder have 6, 16, and 18. The Rockets have 2, 23, and 24. The Knicks obviously have 19 and 21, and the Warriors with 7, 14, and the Magic with 5 and 8.
Yeah.
And all of those teams could either unload those picks because you don't want that, or you don't want to prioritize that many young guys in cases like in cases like the Warriors, or any of those teams could try to move up, right? We've talked about it, the Knicks trading up to 12 or 13. Could the Thunder trade all of them? Is that a package that could move up to 2 or 3 if you trade 6, 16, and 18?
Or is it to go get a player?
Yeah, that's out there with the Warriors, right? The Wiseman 7-14 packages. I think that's a damn good package.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting. We went pretty mild with trades. We only had the one trade. We also didn't look at any Ben Simmons or Dame trades. Could those happen on draft night?
Especially with Portland not picking are they picking at all? They're not in the first round. Do they even have a second round pick? I don't know if they do.
I think they do. Maybe not. They
think they do.
have none.
Yeah. So.
I believe Dallas also has no picks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team that I could see, being a little active, not like a big splashy trade, but yeah, they trade a future second to go get the 35th pick and go take a guy they believe in.
People keep speculating trading away KP.
Yeah, I mean, big trades are any combination of that sort of tier of I don't want to say overpaid role player, but whatever you want to say, that combination of $30 million guys that probably aren't that. Your McCollum, Porzingis, Kemba Walker, maybe throw Ben Simmons in that tier. Like, do we see movement from those guys? Do we see those sort of superstar trades? Again, Brad Beal got thrown in reports today. Signing trades with Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry are very possible. Russell Westbrook could be on the move again. I mean, a team like the Lakers, do you get into the sort of LeBron GM panicky mode of LeBron being like, all right, I'm done shooting Space Jam. I'm 36 and I want to win another title. Let's go get a third guy. The Warriors could be in that same. Those sort of reports today came out that Steph and Draymond met with management, like wanting to make trades for impact players. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think there's a ton of potential for moves in basically every direction.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm pumped. I mean, we're officially a week away from draft night, right? Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I think it sounds like Nick, I haven't even talked to you about this. We had a management call last night. Sounds like we might switch it up for draft night. Maybe try Twitter Spaces. See how that goes for draft night. And it's different this year, right? Because I mean, the Knicks don't pick till 19, so it's like trying to figure out, do we want to hang the whole time? We were thinking about maybe at like pick 10, hopping on Twitter Spaces, because I think if the Knicks do trade up, it won't be higher than 10. So we'll just be ready for that. But I mean, obviously we'll blast it on socials whenever we come up with that plan. Keep playing the off-season app that Ryan Gray created once again. Try to get all those badges. Try to get Dame. Or is the Dame trade still in there? I don't even know. But because I never got him. But yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else, Nick?
No, obviously I'll be a part of whatever draft coverage we end up doing. I'll be writing our Knicks Wall recap reaction of the Knicks draft night. So look for that next Friday. That'll be an immediate reaction the day after the draft. I'll be doing that. I will be watching the draft at my grandmother's house, which I've done every year of my life, except last year because of COVID and the year that I booed Kristaps Porzingis. Every other year I've been with my grandmother, so I'm looking forward to get back to that. I love it. I can't wait to absorb as much draft content and read every rumor and report as I can in the next 7 days.
Cool. All right, that is it from us. I was gonna say we'll catch y'all later, but this might be. Maybe we'll do a roundup. I'm sure the main pod guys are gonna do a roundup, so we'll see what happens. But if not, thank you everyone for listening. Draft season. This is obviously Nick and I's favorite time of the year, so we appreciate it. And yeah, we will catch you somewhere.